I love New Year's. I specifically love New Year's because this is a time when you really get to think through what worked last year and also what didn't work last year. So in this video, we're gonna focus actually on the things that didn't work so well, and we're gonna talk through, oh, we're gonna make it 6. It was gonna be 5. We're gonna make it 6. I just thought of another. 2 of these are gonna contradict each other, as usual. But 6 things that we're gonna talk through that I personally believe that all TPT sellers should be leaving in 2021 and not taking into the new year. So if you've heard, you know, my strategy, if you're in the goal setting course, you know I always talk about things you wanna keep, change, start, and stop. So these are the things we are stopping. I don't wanna see them next year, and yeah. So let's get into it. All right, thing number 1 that TPT sellers should leave in the old year and not take it to the new year is not having previews. I have been preaching and preaching and preaching about the power of previews for so long, and I still see so many people who are posting and do not have previews or don't have thumbnails or don't have descriptions, and it is baffling to me, first off. But what it boils down to is sometimes, you know, we just want to get a product up and we just want to get it up. And I understand. I had a couple of those that I was like, I mentioned in a video, and so I had to get it up by that certain time and I didn't have time to, you know, do all the things. So I just posted it. However, I know that until I go back and add my preview and add all my thumbnails and do all those things, they're not gonna do very well, because your whole sales page, the whole page with your product on it, is geared towards convincing people that they need to purchase your product. That's why you need thumbnails and a preview and all of those things so that people can see what your product is. If they can't see what your product is, they're not buying your product because they'll be confused. And you know, my favorite quote by Zig Ziglar is something along the lines of, I don't have it actually memorized, but something to the effect of, typically people don't purchase because they don't understand the product. Your goal on your sales page is to make sure people understand the product. So use your thumbnails, use your preview to show them what's included, tell them what's included, show them why they need it, what's amazing about your product, so that they understand, so that they will purchase, because they will not purchase unless they understand why they need it and why their kids are gonna love it. So use your thumbnail, use your preview, use your description, use all those things at your disposal. Seriously, because then you'll have to work a lot less hard with everything else, because if your sales page converts well, then you don't have to have as many products, you don't have to do as much marketing, you don't have to send as many people over, because it's doing the work itself. So put the time in, put the effort in. It's hard, I know. I sometimes don't do it and usually have to go back and fix it later, but go back and fix it later. Make sure that you're doing that. All right, thing number 2 that we should definitely be leaving in 2021, I can't believe I even have to say this, and that is posting product covers on social media. I know that product covers are square, and Instagram was into square. Apparently now we can post like whatever the heck we want. I don't know. But posting product covers onto social media is, 1, not very pretty, 2, not very convincing, and 3 is just a little bit weird. So on social media, you do want to make sure you are talking about your products. I'm all for talking about your products on social media, but you also want to frame things so that people understand why they want to purchase your product. They see how your product is made, and really think of social media as more of like soft selling rather than hard selling. It's fine to do a hard sale every once in a while, but for the most part, you want it to be a little bit softer. So for example, for me, a good idea of something to post would be like, I have some matching games. So like a video of me, you know, putting the matching games together. That's a great way to showcase your product without just being like, here's a product cover. Or, you know, just sharing like how I set up my centers or those kind of things, you know, how I use the matching games. Those things are going to be a lot more useful than just being like product. When I see products covers, I usually just scroll right past them. 1, 2, they don't look very nice in your feed, and 3, we know that Instagram's really favoring like video and reels and carousels and pretty much everything other than a still picture at the moment. So just don't do it. Feel free to post a picture of your product, a video of your product, but leave the product covers for TPT. All right, thing number 3 is a little more like mindset-y, but that is, we need to leave behind being scared to try new things. I see a lot of TPT sellers who, you know, keep making the same product over and over and over, which is great. I'm super pro product lines and all that kind of stuff. As long as it's coming from the idea of, I want to make a product line, I want to, you know, have consistency and stuff like that. But don't be scared to try something new. I feel like there's such, like the whole internet, but especially, you know, in the TPT author space, there's a lot of emphasis on like, you must be in your niche. You must have your niche. Niche, 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 niche. Niches are great. They're important. I believe in them. However, feel free to try something new. Because sometimes the things that you try that are new end up being really, really great. This time last year, I made a whole bunch of new products, mostly because I was bored and teaching online. And I was just like, I can't face more months of teaching online. So I wanted to do something new and tried some new things that I had never tried before. And they're some of my best sellers even today because I went a little outside my comfort zone and tried something new. Now, what I don't want you to do is spend like, you know, a million hours on new things that you don't know if they're gonna sell. But try something new, you know, maybe try one product, and then if that goes well, you can turn that into a product line. But don't be scared to try new things because sometimes those are the best things. So whether that's, you know, trying a new product line, whether that's, you know, being scared to try YouTube or to start a blog or whatever it is, don't be scared. Just try it, commit to it for a few months. And if you don't like it, you don't have to continue. But don't be scared to try something new. Don't be like, must stay in my niche. Just, you know, go ahead and try new things. Now, I do think that niches are good in terms of like, I'm an elementary music teacher, so like I make elementary music products. So if I went and made like a math resource, that would be super weird. But as long as I'm staying in that sort of niche, I'm doing pretty well. So stick, you know, into like your main niche, but don't get so caught up into like pigeonholing yourself that you never try something new or interesting. All right, number 4 is leave behind taking on more than you can chew. And I know I'm like literally the worst person to be telling you this, but from experience, do not take on more than you can actually handle. So it's really tempting, especially if you're like me and you just love doing all of the things and you want to do all of the things to be like, oh, I want to do, you know, TPT and I want to make all these products and I want to have a blog and I want to have a YouTube channel and I want to have this and that and that. Those things are great. I have all those things. I believe in all those things, but I didn't start them all at the same time. So when you look at my business, we're looking, you know, 4 years into my business. Things are very different than when I first started. And so if you're just starting, especially, really think about that and don't do more than one new thing at a time. So you want to do TPT? Great. Start your TPT store. That's your new thing. Once you get to the point where that doesn't feel new anymore and you kind of know what you're doing, then you can add on something else that's new. And once you get that kind of into a rhythm, then you can add on something else that's new. But don't start all the new things at the same time. It's really hard because, you know, again, it sounds like a great idea. You know, I should do all the things. Everything is a lot harder at the beginning. So leave behind taking on more than you can chew. Try just taking on one new thing at a time, getting that figured out, getting that systematized, and then adding something new. If you are new, by the way, to TPT, I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you make your first milestone, your like personal milestone, not your TPT milestone, but your personal milestone to hit 50 products, 50 like good high quality products as soon as possible. And really like in your brain, think like, okay, I'm gonna hit 50 products and then I'll add something else. Don't add a bunch of new things while you're still working on your first products because one, you don't know how to make products, so it takes forever. 2, you don't really know what kind of products that you want to make. So the more products that you make, the more you'll figure out your niche, you'll figure out what kind of products you like, you'll figure out what kind of products are selling, and you'll fill up that store so that people can actually purchase things. And then once you hit your 50 products, then go on to other things. A mistake I see a lot of people making is taking on way more than they can chew, especially at the beginning. Don't look at other people and do what they do because they're not in the same place as you are. So start with one thing. Only add one new thing at a time. That's always the rule, only one new thing at a time. And if you're new, go to that 50 products. Now, number 5 is gonna sound a little bit contradictory because you know how I love to do things that contradict themselves. And that is leaving behind not marketing your products. So like I said, if you are not to 50 products yet, if you're brand new, if you're still trying to figure things out, like, so focus on that. But once you have your 50 products and once you get to 100 products and once you've really like figured out your store, sometimes people just stay in that product making mode forever. And I still make products. I have 500 products. I still make products. I love making products. It's so much fun. That's why I started TBT. But don't get so stuck in just making products that you never market your products. And by marketing, I mean, you know, having blog posts, having YouTube videos, having, you know, Instagram, having your email list. You should have an email list. All of those things are really gonna help your store once you're a little more established. Again, if you have under 50 products, don't worry about it. But once you get, you know, you have a more established store, you know what you're doing, you've got some products in there, then market your products so that people will actually go to your store, and that's gonna help you sell things that you've already made and make more traction on things you've already put the effort into. So although, again, I have 500 products, I still make new products. I have new products I'm making right now. I have new products I'm gonna make this year. Like, I have plans. I'm pro making products, but make sure that you're sending traffic to your products so that you don't like have to just make a bajillion products. Send traffic to your products, whether you wanna do, you know, blog, YouTube, social media, Pinterest, whatever, pick something and send traffic there. It's really ironic. It's like the new sellers, the biggest mistake I see new sellers making is taking on too many things. And the biggest mistake I see more established sellers is not taking on enough and not doing more of the marketing piece. So pick a marketing avenue and make sure you're sending traffic so that you are capitalizing on the things that you have already made, because they're amazing and you want to make sure that people are actually purchasing them, which means you need to make sure you're marketing them. And number 6 is another mindset thing. Leave behind in 2021 comparing yourself to other sellers. I just popped off of a call with a group of people going through my goal setting course, and we were like talking through this year, and some of the people were saying, you know, oh, I, you know, feel like I should be further along than other people and stuff like that. And here's the real truth. You can't compare yourself to anybody else, especially with side hustles, because everyone's journey is so different. It's not like when you're in school and you're all in the same grade. It's not like when you become a teacher and all the first year teachers are, you know, at the same level and they all go to second year teachers. Like, it's not like you're behind that way. With a side hustle, there's so many things that go into it that you really just can't compare to other people. We all have different niches. We all have different products. We all have different time obligations. So one thing I point out a lot is that I don't have kids, and because I don't have kids, I have a lot more free time than if you do have kids. Now, does that mean it's impossible? No. But if you know, don't have kids and you're comparing yourself to someone who does have kids, or vice versa, it's gonna be different. Or even just, you know, like I have a friend who makes really difficult products, like, you know, think high school calculus difficult products, and I took calculus, so I feel like I can say that. It's gonna be different than if you're making, you know, centers for kindergarten. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm super pro centers for kindergarten or even elementary music. Like, my products are just so much different than those that you really can't compare them. They all take different amounts of time. We all have different amounts of time to go into our store. So you could, you know, have had your store for 2 years and someone else had their store for 2 years. But if they worked twice as much as you did in that 2 years, then they're probably going to be ahead of you. Or if they, you know, like I started blogging before I started my TPT store. So I kind of started like a little bit of a leg up because I already had my blog and I already had an email list and that kind of stuff. So I was in a different place than other people who started at the same time as me. So I work a lot. And because of that, I have an insane amount of products and I have put an insane amount of time into all of my, you know, business. And because of that, I am in a very different place than other people who might be, you know, technically at the same, you know, year mark, but just things are so different. Everybody has such a different journey. that you really can't compare. The only person you should compare yourself to is you previously. So this is the same thing I told my goal setting course. I was like, look, the only person I'm comparing myself to is Becca from last year. So like Becca last January versus Becca this January. That's the only comparison I want to see. I want to do better than Becca last January, and I want to make more money than Becca last January, and I want to, you know, work probably not harder because I worked really, really hard last January. But I want to, you know, put the same amount of effort in and things like that, and just make sure that I'm comparing myself to myself and not anybody else, because everyone else is in a very different stage of life and a very different stage of business and have all sorts of different things going on that you just really can't compare, because you never know what's going on with that person, and you don't know what they're doing all day, every day. You just don't know. And because you don't know, you can't compare, because you just don't know. So compare yourself to yourself, and if you just started, then compare yourself to yourself last week or, you know, yourself last month, until you get enough data that you can compare yourself to, you know, yourself last year. When you do that, you'll also notice how much progress you're making, which is a beautiful thing, is being able to see like, oh my gosh, this was Becca last year and this is Becca this year, and look how much more I know, and look how much better I'm doing, and you know, all of those things. And it's just a much happier comparison versus comparing yourself to other people that you think you should be on the same level with, but you just don't know. You just don't know. So those are 6 things that I want to see all TPT sellers leave in the previous year and not take into the new year with 2022. I am super curious to see what you would add to this list. What are things that you see TPT sellers doing that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing that? What are things that you think you should take into the new year? Let me know all those things down in the comments, or if you would prefer, you can always message me over on Instagram. It's at Becca.e.davis. And you send me a DM and I'd be happy to, you know, respond. And that's a little more of a personal approach if you would like to do that rather than in the comments, or you can do both. So thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing what you have to say. I hope you enjoyed my Christmas decorations I haven't taken down, and have a great week. Bye.